What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Chopville with your host, Hamid Trades. In today's episode, we will see if our contestants can finally break out of this range that they're trading in before time runs out. The time that I'm talking about here is people's accounts getting chopped to smithereens. So in today's video, I'm going to see whether that is possible. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the SPY, the NASDAQ, the IWM, and the crypto markets like usual. So without further ado, let's get started with the video. So basically, we bought August puts yesterday at the close, and we were bullish overnight on a small amount of BITO calls, which is Bitcoin calls, and just to see if we would have a melt up. That didn't happen. So then intraday, we ended up playing we bought into calls a few times intraday, and those plays ended up working really well. Yesterday, we bought puts and calls. They ended up working really well. So intraday, regardless, the trades that I post work out really well, right? But then because there's so much choppy price action for the daily chart and for the longer term view of things, it's harder to determine which way we're going to go, because currently right now we're in a trading zone. What I do and what everyone in the group and the family does in the Discord server, pretty high success rate in terms of making money every day. But once again, because we're basically in this choppy zone from 407 to 418, until we break above or below, it's tough to say which direction we're going to go. So it's really just really choppy, annoying price action. But if you can survive times like these and not blow up your accounts when things do become more trending and easier to trade, that's when we can maximize our profits. So right now it's time to maximize, not to allow ourselves to lose a lot of money, and to maximize the safety of our positions and be patient. So it's time to maximize our patience. That's a better way of saying it. So obviously today, the SPY and the NASDAQ didn't come back and retest this trend line, right? Which is pretty obvious, which is now this is probably just going to be, irrelevant. So now pragmatically, what do we see here moving forward? Friday, we have CPI data coming out, which could be pretty, people are going to be watching for the CPI data, all right? Friday morning. Number two, the MACD is now technically a bit oversold. We can see the white line is below the light blue signal line, which is the slower moving line. So we're technically now oversold on the MACD while in a bull flag. Technically, things do look pretty bullish because the MACD is also above zero, but the RSI is pointing lower. Again, it makes better sense, in my opinion. The higher probability trades are going to be going short in the longer term. And then in the short term, as we have this bullish momentum and this bullish structure built, we can clearly see this is a bull flag. We can clearly see that we're at resistance on the bull flag, but we're holding support. And now we can see that the MACD is also oversold. So when there is a chance to be bullish, you can't just keep on shorting strength, okay? Because if you keep on shorting strength, you miss out on both directions, and then you just screw yourself. And then you sit there and you're just like, damn, like I saw that there was an opportunity for 5 points up, but then I just kept on trying to short the strength. Because we had months of constant shorting of every rally, to repeat that same concept here when the market is choppy at the moment, that's why people are losing so much money. So that's why you have to adapt. Don't chop yourselves out. Don't just adapt. We have to evolve as traders. We have to adapt to the various different market dynamics and the environment in itself. And if things aren't favorable, just sit out. Just be patient. Wait for things to become better, for it to become better for you. Lower your position sizes. And aside from that, I mean, in terms of, it's really tough to say like what I think is going to end up happening, because we've been here for the past few days now. So today is Wednesday. Thursday, we should get a bit more clarity of where we're going to end up going. And then Friday, hopefully, God, What the hell? Oh, all right. Thought I deleted everything. Okay, but Friday, then we'll get CPI data, and we should probably get a much better understanding of the damn direction of where the market wants to go. So really, there's that for the SPY. I guess really the same levels apply, man. Like 413, 415, 417.5, 420, 425, 430. To the downside, it's 407, 405, 403, 400. It's the same concept. Like, we could just keep on talking about all those levels. Oh, I think it's going to go here. It's just a waste of time. There's that for the SPY. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. So now what's interesting is when you look at the three indices here, the smallest loser was the NASDAQ. And in my opinion, that's the case because of stocks like Facebook, Tesla, and Google. They all technically closed a bit green. So when three large tech stocks are closing green, technically, Google closed 0.01% green, but the others are all red. It's a good indication that there's still strength in the tech stock, in the tech sector. So regardless of how weak the other stocks were, it's worthy of noting that these stocks were actually green when the rest of the stock market wasn't. So Apple, for example, was red, right? Amazon was red. Other stocks in the, various other sectors, the large stocks were also red, but those were still green. So when you look at the NASDAQ is still obviously in the same bull flag formation that the SPY is in. It's not as overperforming as the IWM was. It's not oversold yet on the MACD. The RSI isn't pointed as low, but we're still trading within the same range. And until we break above or below, intraday, it's a completely different story. If you want direction and you want insights on how to trade intraday during this choppy market, join the Discord. Otherwise, wait for a directional market. Things will start being better soon. When you look at the IWM, we're still relatively higher compared to where we are on the SPY and the NASDAQ. Compared to where they are on the Fibonacci levels. So the NASDAQ is still trading within this 0.236 and 0, and the SPY is trading within the same 0.236 and 0 range, whereas the IWM is trading above it. So you can clearly see that there is where the IWM is stronger compared to the SPY and the NASDAQ from where we bounced at the lows. Okay, so we can take a look at the 30-year bonds on the daily chart. We can see how the MACD is extremely oversold. We're sitting at support. This made a higher low. Technically, we should be bouncing higher, but this is very, very weak. And if we break down below this low here, and if we break down below 136, this very, very extreme oversold condition on the MACD is going to break down even lower, in my opinion. And then that would be terrible. But technically, higher lows, we're sitting at support, basically. And the MACD is extremely oversold. So we should see a bit of a bounce in the 30-year bond. And if we get a bit of a bounce in the bonds, then the equities should also see a bit of strength as well. And then that would be interesting. So to see the strength translate into the equities. And also the VIX is not currently doing too much. I believe we'll see more volatility, and we'll see IV and contracts higher tomorrow and on Friday, since, preemptively to the CPI data. But aside from that, pretty quiet market, pretty choppy. People are just waiting to see whether or not we fall back down to new lows or whether we start to rally. So people are just sitting patiently, I guess. So with the crypto market, obviously this is choppy again, but this candle that I showed on the daily yesterday, how we had a huge wick to the downside, it usually signals bullishness to the upside afterward. We used this same exact concept, and we got a really nice scalp calls, and they worked out beautifully. But here on Bitcoin on the daily, it's not really working out too well. So, again, it's just choppy price action. Bitcoin, in my opinion, has the highest percentage gain to the upside compared to equities. So if I was going to go long something and if the rest of the market is showing strength, I would want to swing obviously the strongest sectors, but I would also want to swing Bitcoin options because this will have the biggest bang for your buck for an upside move compared to equities. And again, as we continue higher on the stock market, I'm going to continue to scale into puts because I believe the overall trajectory is going to go down and my puts will be hedged by my shorter term calls. But again, guys, this is just choppy price action within a range. You could take a look at Ethereum. Same concept. I mean, like, it's just chopping within a range. Until we see some strength and breaks above, resistance levels, then it doesn't really make a difference. When you look at the weekly chart of Bitcoin, it's really, really tough not to be bullish because we're sitting at support. The weekly indicators are very, very oversold. And it makes sense to be bullish at these levels on Bitcoin. Regardless of whether or not, so if we start to break down below, right? Because with this MACD being extremely oversold, smart money should be positioning long for a bounce. If we break down below and we're oversold, then, we can reposition into shorts and we'll get a lot of downside. But then, just looking at this, like, smart money should be positioning long. And now also when you take a look at the weekly, we opened at 29,899. The odds of us closing a second week green is pretty high still because we had 9. How many red? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 red weeks in a row. Can we get 2 green weeks on a bounce? Yeah, probably. I mean, when you look at even the Fibonacci from here, we're not even at 23.6. Currently, we're not even at the 23.6. So there's still a lot more room. A retest of 38.2 is still very, very justifiable, and that's at 34. So it just makes sense to be long Bitcoin compared to being shorted. I mean, the indicators, everything is just, it's not screaming, but it's like, it's setting up for a nice bullish retest of this trend line, at least to 33 to 34. And yeah, man, I think that is what's going to end up happening. Tomorrow we'll see and position ourselves for swings over the weekend, maybe to see if we can get a bounce over the weekend like we did last time. But then Friday after CPI data, that's when we're going to get a lot of clarity and people are going to be more comfortable. But I want to position myself with something probably tomorrow before the close. I really want to position myself for BITO calls. If we haven't already popped off. So yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting. But there's that for my analysis for the day. Thank you guys for all of your support. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.